Have you ever had a really challenging boss? I did. Her name was Jackie, but we called her Jackie the Ripper. Because it did not matter who you were, sooner or later, she would rip you to shreds. I remember this one time, we were working on our annual plan, which is this big, important project, and I had been up all night. We had to have everything on Jackie's desk by 7 in the morning. So she came storming in that day, and we're all hiding down in our cubicles, wondering who's she going to get today. Suddenly I hear, "Gerry, get in here." And I think, oh God, it's me. So I go into her office, and for the next hour, it was Jackie the Ripper. She bounced up and down in her chair, pounding her desk, yelling, "How can you give me something like this? Why do I even have you here?" As she ripped pages out of that document I had worked so hard on, tore them up in front of me, threw them in the trash. I had never seen anything like it. I was devastated. I was very young. I was just out of grad school. I had a mountain of debt, and I really needed that job. I survived that morning with Jackie, as well as many other days just like it. I went on to form teams of my own in many different companies. I had some tough bosses along the way, but nobody like Jackie. Now that morning was 30 years ago, and I still tell that story for a few reasons. First, a lot of us have had bosses like Jackie, and I heard that in this room earlier. And some people come up to me after I speak and say, "You know what? I think I was Jackie." But here's the real reason I tell that story. Jackie taught me a critical lesson. It's a lesson I used when I became a leader, and that I have shared with many other leaders over the years. It's a lesson about the difference between fear-based leadership and courageous leadership. Jackie was a fear-based leader. But the truth is, we all have the possibility to become that kind of leader. But you also have a choice. You can choose to be a courageous leader. And if you make that choice, you will become the type of person who uses the very best inside you to bring out the best in everyone you touch. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. If you're a leader, you're going to face a lot of fear. There are going to be times when you feel overwhelmed and completely alone. Fear-based leaders respond to that by becoming like a gladiator in the arena. They put on armor and they use their seniority as a weapon to intimidate. Here's the problem. Gladiators are isolated. They're always alone in the arena. Jackie was most certainly a gladiator, and you know what? She had tough challenges on her plate. We were a hyper-competitive financial services company. Her bosses were really tough too. But Jackie was always alone in her arenas because she had isolated herself from the very people who could help her the most, her team. Always remember, fear and intimidation do not build loyalty. Courageous leaders do something very different when faced with fear. When we think of some of the most courageous leaders, people like Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani women's rights activist, or Martin Luther King, or JFK, they had a lot to fear, but they didn't become gladiators. They became collaborators. They name what they're afraid of, sometimes privately, often publicly. And then they decide what's more important than what they're afraid of. It might be civil rights. It might be putting a man on the moon. Or if you're a corporate leader, it might be bringing a revolutionary product to market. Courageous leaders then use that thing, that higher purpose, to motivate everyone around them. And others become eager to follow them in pursuit of that higher purpose. Fear and intimidation just aren't necessary. Here's why courageous leadership works so well. It taps into the very best in human potential. We know through brain science that fear actually shuts down our higher reasoning capability. It's that fight or flight response that allowed our ancestors to escape danger. But here's the thing. If you're a leader, you don't want your people caught up in fight or flight. You want them engaged in higher reasoning. Companies that lead through fear and intimidation have been shown to be less innovative, less creative, and less resilient. Leaders who establish a higher purpose have more engaged employees, and their companies are ultimately more profitable, actually as much as 50% more profitable. Courageous leaders are good for their people. They're good for their companies. And most importantly, they're good for the world as a whole, because they use the very best in themselves to bring out the best in everyone they touch. Whether you lead a team of 5, 10, 100, 1,000, or maybe you're just a role model to others, you have what it takes to be a courageous leader. It's just a matter of making a decision. When you go back to your offices, I want you to start asking a few questions every day. Now, you might want to write these down. First, have you established a higher purpose that you and others can aspire to? Do you lead as a gladiator or as a collaborator? Have you established an environment around you that encourages people to be open, creative, and innovative? And most importantly, are you tapping into the best in yourself to bring out the very best in everyone you touch? Thank you very much.